Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
This is our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give this video a like.
Check out the podcast also below in the description.
This is the first video, John, of football season. We have been doing YouTubes, just hoping this day would come. It came, and we were rewarded. We were rewarded on opening night with Andy Reid looking like a steel worker. I mean, how do they not have an intern to squeegee his face mask?
I don't know. Maybe he could see better than it looked, right? I mean, I think he probably rubs it down, probably a heavy breather. I give him a little credit, though. Big guys. It's probably a little muggy out there in Kansas City. You could tell by the end of the game, right? It gets that little humid rain. You put a mask over a guy that big, it might close some pipes and get you in a bad spot. Could he set a trend? Will you be shocked if you don't see other coaches wearing that? Because if I was a play caller or head coach, I'd either I have the mission mask on right now that's easy to kind of move, or if Andy can do that, I'd be wearing that thing.
Yeah, remember McVay wore it on the first night of Hard Knocks. To me, the thing about that thing is that the microphone goes underneath it, right? The thing that Andy had. And so I got to
communicate with your quarterback.
You're a lot clearer to the quarterback just from watching sporting events, tennis, NBA, whatever, where they're doing interviews while they're wearing a mask. It's just a little muted, right? And you got a quarterback.
LeBron's been used to doing this
That's
forever.
True. LeBron has been doing that forever. You got a quarterback with, as Kyle Shanahan said, with 70 or 75 decibels in the stadium. They're not going to tell you ahead of time, so you don't know what to prepare for. The crowd was really loud on Thursday night. I actually thought it was fake noise early on because I swear to you, John, early in the game I said to myself, I said out loud, I think I texted you, this is kind of BS how they're...
You texted me, do you think this is real?
I texted you, and maybe I didn't say this to you, but I was thinking it. This is kind of BS. Is every audio guy going to treat every regular season game like it's the conference championship game crowd noise? But then it turned out it was 15,000 people making that much noise. I don't know.
Do you believe him? I know Al said it was real. He clearly, like a lot of people are asking, is this real? He claimed it's just the people. Is that believable?
It is because, again,
the stadium contains.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference between adding fake crowd noise, either the Chiefs doing it or the broadcast doing it, and what every broadcast does, even when you have a full house, which is you got an audio guy, he's doing a mix. You can choose how much of the crowd noise to feed to the broadcast. But Al's just saying we're not feeding fake noise, but they've got it. Clearly, they got it turned up. I mean, they had it turned up.
I went to pick up lunch today, and I turn on the radio, and it's Mad Dog Russo with Steve Levy. And he's drilling Levy. He's asking him, like, why he should take Riddick seriously. I mean, Mad Dog's ESPN screwed up the Booger Mobile. I mean, Mad Dog was drilling him. I guess Levy used to work for WFAN and for those two guys.
Oh, okay.
Like before or after Iron Eagle. So he was really proud of it. He liked Steve. Steve told him that they, on Monday Night Football, for every team, like the Vikings, they have audio recorded from their fans over the last several years. So he's like, we will play Skull Chance that will be real raw audio from previous years. Or we're doing an Eagles game, you will get Fly Eagles Fly. Or the Chiefs game.
I don't love it, but okay.
Yeah, but so it's like when I heard that and you text me, I just assumed they were just Chiefs are one of the loudest stadiums in the league. I'm like,
That's
no
what I
way
thought
that
too.
I saw the picture. It looked like, I mean, there were how many? 16,000 people?
Yeah.
It looked like less when that big of a venue.
Yeah.
Also, it'd be hard if I was the guy. I give whoever the ushers were credit. If I bought a ticket at the top and I'm like, there's all that fucking space, even just down at the end, because if anyone that's been to a football game knows, maybe in this situation, being close, probably a decent seat, but the edges on a bowl of the top, right? So you're kind of hanging over the lower bowl is a great seat for
Really
an
good
NFL
seat,
and just
yeah.
football in general. I would have beelined it to that thing.
I'm with
Maybe
you.
they had spikes on the seats or something. I don't know.
Electronic fencing.
How did they contain that, guy?
I don't know. But how about this, John? That right now, as it stands today, I think there's only 2 teams in the league, right, that have fans.
I've struggled to keep up with it.
I think that was the latest. But here's what I'm getting at is
who's the second?
We'll see. I don't even remember.
I thought it was
We'll
the Cowboys. I thought.
No, that's not what Al said. Al said like Jacksonville, but that would make sense. Maybe it would make sense. Tampa, I don't know. Not Tampa. But Somebody can tell me. But like I watched that team tonight and thought, I know they're the obvious pick, but they're the obvious pick for a reason. Now, maybe in 2 months, a lot of other teams will have fans in stands. Who knows? But if we go several months with the best team in the NFL being the only good team that has a crowd, I don't know what being able to play sound through the speakers will be like. But I do know that having people is going to be maybe a little more of an advantage than I thought, particularly because this is clearly the best. Is that an overreaction, by the way?
You know what I read? I think Albert Breer wrote about this a week or two ago. The two most outspoken coaches, defensive coaches, Mike Zimmer and Sean McDermott, just thought this is, and it wasn't necessarily at the Kansas City Chiefs, but just like the draft, make it a uniformed rule. And when Goodell went on CNBC
you
and
said
was
that
pretty
from the beginning
and was pretty adamant that he didn't think it was a distinct advantage, I'm with you. If it's going to be that loud, the best team in the league, I got news for you, guy, by a wide margin. When you got a quarterback that good, yeah. I mean, I would. I think people are going to start complaining, especially if they'd be good. Crowd, no crowd, parking lot, fucking against Pat Hill, right? Playing in the Taj Mahal. The Chiefs would be good anywhere, but I think teams are going to go, wait, if I'm Sean McDermott and I'm trying to compete with the Chiefs, I can't have fans, and the best team in the league, the defending champs, can't have fans. It doesn't make that much sense. Do you agree? Like what?
I agree. Now, I think
somewhat nominal amounts of money relative to what they're used to. And I think the media in general is so quick to say, what are you doing this for the money? And you and I have talked about it. It is. We did some math. It actually is more money than you think, right?
Well, yeah, we said if that was 17,000 people at $200 a ticket, that's $3.5 million.
Yeah.
Not
so
times
that by 8. I mean, you're talking $25 million.
So I understand. Like, it's money.
It's either, hey, Clark Hunt, you want $24.5 million or $0?
Whatever. I don't even want to argue against people whose arguments I don't listen to.
No, I agree. I'm just my point is, like, I do get where they're like. Of course, the owners was like, I'd rather have $25 million if you're allowing me to have the fans in. But I understand where the other teams are coming from. It's not even necessarily about the money. It's probably their coaches and GMs have to be complaining. Well, I know this. If I was anyone in that division, the Broncos, who, I don't know, have you noticed they're losing players by the day? Sutton got hurt today. I mean, they're in shambles. The Chargers, you could push back and say they don't even have fans. And definitely the Raiders, whose owner was probably, would you say, the most outspoken owner about the overall situation?
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me if in a couple weeks it becomes an issue with a lot of people complaining, because it usually where it becomes an issue is when it feels like the best team has the advantage. Forever, the Warriors, it was like, this is bullshit. It was just over them signing Kevin Durant, which was in the rules. But people get jealous fast in any business, in any sports league, in anything where it feels like you're at a disadvantage and it's like rigged type deal. Like you're just pulling this rule out of your ass because all these other teams have to be saying, I'd have fans. I'm not allowed to.
Right.
My county or my state doesn't allow me
to
have
I think the NFL's response would be, we'll start with these 2, and then maybe there will be 4, and then maybe the Saints can have some fans, and then maybe the Colts can have some fans, and then we'll get 15 teams, and then we'll have 20 teams, and who knows? Look, we've made a lot of money, and that's what we're doing this for. Is we're here to make a lot of money, right? What do I always say? A successful season is not dependent on who wins a championship. It's just dependent on a championship being played. The games get played, the sponsors get their plugs, and you get your playoff events, and that's that. That's what a successful season is. So if I were Roger Goodell, the other owners that are complaining, I'd go, look, I'm with you. It sucks, but the best thing we can do is make as much money as we can this year, because we're all losing a lot of money potentially when nobody has fans. Not potentially. When nobody has fans, we're all losing money.
And Clark Hunt might say, none of you idiots signed this quarterback to a 10-year, $450 million contract.
Exactly.
It doesn't pay for itself. So, and then Andy and Veach told me I had to pay these other 2 guys. And after I watched Chris Jones and Travis Kelce, I went, well, I'm glad I paid them too, but these contracts aren't free. Right?
The Chiefs are plus 490 right now to win the Super Bowl at mybookie.ag. Promo code HAM1. Baltimore's plus 625. They look. We'll talk about Clyde in a minute, but they look better. And part of that might be Clyde and some other stuff, but isn't it possible, John, part of this, and we've talked about this with the 49ers for months, I don't think they're going to have a Super Bowl hangover because I think they are more inspired by seeing how good they can be, by being right there on the doorstep, than they are downtrodden over losing their opportunity. So here you are, you're Kansas City. You just proved to yourself you could do what you thought you could do. Why wouldn't you come out ready? Your guy's got a 10-year contract. You go, how many? You start thinking, how many of these can we win?
Yeah, I heard Cousin Sal had a good point. He said that all the buzz about like how many championships the Mahomes, that he can win under this contract, and most people are putting the number like 2.5, 3.5, right? And everyone agrees, like, yeah, it's possible. Like they can win 2 or 3 in the next 5 or 6 years. He said, well, by far the best bet in the NFL over the next several years is putting a lot of money on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, right? Because typically it's like, well, do I love this? Besides the Patriots for a long period of time. I mean, you just had to watch like 2 drives. You went, yeah, I'd feel pretty good if my money's on them. As good as you possibly could on any team. That quarterback guy, about halfway through, in his stats, he's your classic now. Like, I don't even need to look at his box score. No. He is the best eye test.
Do you have it?
Yeah, I mean, he threw for 211 yards, but
felt like
he did throw
5.
Yeah, I mean, his box score is pretty good. I mean, 24, 32, 3 touchdowns.
24, 32, 3 touchdowns. Yeah.
But he's like, I don't even feel like he's trying that hard. And then when he does try, the one pass where I think Robinson had hit his face mask where he kind of tripped, dove maybe a little too early. First thought I had is like, I don't think there's another guy in the league that makes that throw to his left, throws it across his body, but guy throws a perfect BB dart that, I mean, in fairness, it might have been too great of a pass and too hard for him to catch. Like, it would have been a hard catch. He had to, like, catch it around his face mask. Yeah. But it hit him directly in the face. It's like, this guy's incredible.
I thought maybe he was.
This guy's incredible.
I know. I thought on that play maybe
thought, like,
Clyde.
The Niners have their shot against
Clyde
them?
or Williams, whoever the running back was the first option. But, yeah, I think that's part of it too, right? Is like we've talked about this team for a while over the years with Andy, and it's like even a couple years ago we talked about their defense so much, right? Like, is their defense good? That was the conversation for a while. Is their defense good enough? And then last year it was plenty good enough, right? Even a couple years ago it was plenty good enough. But I think the way to look at them, and this is more a conversation about the next 4 or 5 years, to your point about what Cousin Sal said, is like, even in a year where they don't have a good defense, let's say, are they going to be playing a team whose defense can shut their guy down? Because if they're not, it doesn't matter if their defense is ranked 20th in the NFL. They're going to have a shot. Now, maybe they're not winning a Super Bowl with that team, but they've got some good players on defense, too. That's the other thing. Like, it's not
to me,
what it was.
It's pretty clear their defense is fine right now.
Fine. Yeah, I mean, fine.
Yeah.
And really, it's probably better than fine. All it needs to be is fine, though, with this guy. Because what defense is shutting him down?
One thing they have going for
and
them,
Andy.
Their defense has a couple defensive linemen that on any given snap can just toss an offensive lineman and sack the quarterback. Because 55 and 95 on any given play, we're chasing Deshaun Watson, who is a phenomenal athlete, and he's running for his life. Because those guys, like the one where Collinsworth is like, watch Chris Jones here, the grip and rip, and he grabs the offensive lineman and he shoves him down and goes right around him. It's like, oh my God, no wonder they didn't trade him. That's why they've kept him and traded D Ford.
Yeah.
Because I honestly thought they might trade Chris Jones. Like, we want it. He's going to cost a lot. I thought tonight, just watching the effort of a guy after he won a ring that just got paid, like Chris Jones, if I thought Mahomes is going to play really hard. It looked like Chris Jones and Travis Kelce are like playing for a contract, right? I mean, the disease of me, isn't that the Pat Riley thing? And when people win and they get paid and then it's like they not quite feeling it. I did not get that vibe watching the Chiefs tonight.
No.
and say one thing like about the fans, it's not like they were playing in front of 80,000 people. It did look like they were just, it's a joy for them to play ball, right?
And
it's
why
fun.
wouldn't it be, John?
No, I don't.
You like doing stuff you're good at.
Yeah, and they were really good.
So